Life is an endless cycle of learning. With each passing year, we are gifted with the wisdom that comes from experience. But what if I told you that there are pieces of advice, harsh truths, that can genuinely transform the way we live? Sometimes these lessons are hard to swallow, yet they are crucial for those who have walked a long road. Imagine for a moment that you can look back on your life and, instead of regrets, find clarity and purpose. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you blindly trusted someone, only to be let down? Or how the weight of the past can trap us in a bubble of memories? The 7 pieces of advice I'm about to share are an invitation to reflect on what truly matters. Each one carries a depth that challenges our beliefs and frees us from the illusions we've held onto for so long. Are you ready to listen? Brace yourself, because what follows might change your perspective and illuminate your final chapters. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery and growth together. But first, please subscribe to our channel and comment below with your city, so I can see how far our video is reaching. The importance of discernment in relationships. When I reflect on the relationships I've built throughout my life, I realize how crucial discernment has been. It's not just about trusting, it's about trusting wisely. I found myself in situations where someone's good intentions made me let my guard down, and that's when I learned the most important lesson. Not everyone has good intentions. Therefore, it's essential to develop a critical eye, a sensitivity to perceive the nuances in interactions. This doesn't mean I should live in distrust, but it's vital to maintain a balance between openness and emotional protection. Discernment of others' intentions is a daily exercise, like a radar that helps us navigate through relationships. Sometimes the desire to please or be accepted can lead us to ignore warning signs. Learning to listen to my intuition was a turning point in my life. When someone approaches me, it's important to observe not only what is said, but also how it's said. The words may be sweet, but the tone and body language often reveal much more than what meets the eye. Emotional health is a matter we often neglect. In our quest for connection, we sometimes find ourselves in relationships that, deep down, don't serve us well. It's at this point that discernment becomes a protective tool. By trusting wisely, I place myself in a position of power over my own emotions. This has helped me avoid cycles of pain and disappointment that could have otherwise dragged on. However, discernment is not an easy task. It requires a willingness to do internal work, to look within and understand my own motivations for connecting with others. I ask myself, why am I getting involved with this person? What do I truly expect from them? These reflections are crucial for maintaining my emotional health. As I learned to trust with discernment, I also began to notice that the quality of my relationships improved. Those who remain by my side are mostly people who genuinely care and have sincere intentions. This not only strengthens our bonds, but also creates an environment conducive to mutual growth. Ultimately, discernment is a form of love, a way to respect both myself and others. Liberation from the past. Carrying baggage from the past is something many of us do, and I am no exception. For a long time, I allowed old memories and experiences to shape who I am. But over time, I realized that the past doesn't have to define my present. Liberating oneself from the past is an act of courage and a conscious choice. Letting go is a process that requires reflection and often an emotional detachment that can be challenging. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned is that living fully in the present is a gift in itself. When I allow myself to be completely immersed in the now, I discover the beauty of small things, like a genuine smile or a stunning sunset. By letting go of old wounds, I can appreciate life as it is, without the distorted lenses of pain and nostalgia. This is a liberation that doesn't happen overnight, but gradually transforms the way I see the world. The process of freeing myself from the past has also taught me the importance of forgiveness, not only of others, but, more importantly, of myself. I've learned that carrying guilt or regrets only adds unnecessary weight. Looking back at my past experiences, I realize they were part of my journey, but they don't define my future. This understanding brings me a lightness that I sought in vain for a long time. Often we let negative experiences from the past prevent us from opening up to new opportunities. By liberating myself, I managed to break that cycle. Today, I face each new experience with an open mind and an open heart, ready to embrace what life has to offer. This doesn't mean there aren't challenges, but now I see each of them as a chance for growth and learning. Liberating myself from the past is a path to self-discovery. By dissociating from old narratives, I allow myself to be who I truly am. This freedom has brought me a sense of authenticity that I never knew I needed. And so I move forward, living fully without the weight of the past holding me back. Caring for mental and emotional health. Mental and emotional health is an aspect we often neglect in our daily lives. Amid the hustle of life, it's easy to forget that we need to take care of ourselves. I've gone through periods where the pressure of work and responsibilities made me put my mental health on the back burner. However, this neglect only brought more stress and anxiety, and it took a wake-up call for me to recognize the importance of this care. Seeking help when needed is a fundamental step. Initially, I had an internal resistance to this, as if admitting I needed support was a sign of weakness. But over time, I learned that asking for help is, in fact, an act of courage. Therapy became a valuable tool in my life, allowing me to explore emotions and thoughts I used to ignore. Talking to someone who understands can be liberating and transformative. Keeping the mind active is another point I started to prioritize. Reading, learning new skills, and even practicing meditation have become part of my routine. These activities help me maintain mental clarity and combat feelings of stagnation. Sometimes life can feel like a repetitive cycle, but by challenging myself to learn something new, I feel a renewed sense of purpose and motivation. Discussing mental and emotional health is still a topic surrounded by taboos. Often people feel alone in their struggles, but it's important to remember that we are not alone. When I began sharing my own experiences, I realized that many people around me were facing similar challenges. This exchange of experiences not only strengthened bonds, but also created a safe space for all of us to speak openly about our internal battles. Ultimately, caring for my mental and emotional health is a commitment I make to myself every day. It's an ongoing process that requires attention and dedication. By prioritizing my well-being, I not only improve my quality of life, but also become a stronger support for those around me. This awareness that mental health is essential guides me in all areas of my life. Autonomy in personal decisions. Maintaining autonomy in my personal decisions has been a challenge I've faced at various stages of life. Since I was young, I felt the pressure to please others and follow paths that weren't truly mine. Over time, however, I realized that true satisfaction comes from within, and it's essential to listen to my own voice when making decisions. This has been one of the great lessons I've learned throughout my life: the power to choose my own path. Resisting external pressure is an aspect that requires practice. Often, friends and family have their own opinions about what is best for us. I've found myself in situations where, out of fear of disappointing others, I made choices that didn't reflect my true desires. However, as I gained confidence in myself, I began to understand that autonomy is essential for my happiness and personal fulfillment. Today, I prioritize my own wishes and goals, even if it means making decisions that may upset some people around me. Making conscious decisions helps me build a stronger sense of identity. Knowing that I'm in control of my life gives me a freedom that's hard to describe. It's as if every choice I make is an affirmation of who I am and what I value. This autonomy brings a sense of empowerment that reflects in all areas of my life, from relationships to my career. The process of honoring my own desires is a constant learning experience. Sometimes doubt still creeps in, making me question whether I'm making the right choice. But by learning to trust my intuition and seek what truly makes me happy, I can find a path that resonates with me. This journey of self-discovery is enriching, and while it can be challenging, it's essential for my personal growth. Ultimately, autonomy in personal decisions is a way for me to respect myself. Every decision I make is an opportunity to affirm who I am. I've learned that by maintaining control over my life, I can create a future that genuinely reflects my aspirations and values. And this freedom is undoubtedly one of the greatest achievements I can have: financial planning. When I think about financial planning, I remember how it can be a game changer in anyone's life. It's not just about saving money to buy things. It's about creating a solid foundation that will later offer us security and freedom. I've always believed that the earlier we start thinking about this, the easier it becomes. I recall reading a book that discussed the importance of having a budget, and since then, I've decided to follow that practice. The truth is, if we don't have a plan, we end up spending impulsively, and instead of building a stable future, we risk living on the edge. Another thing I've learned over time is that financial planning isn't just about saving. It's about investing and making money work for us. I've never been an expert on the subject, but I've always sought to learn from those who know more. The idea that we can make our money grow is fascinating. It's like planting a seed and watching it flourish over the years. The security this brings for old age is priceless. I don't want to be someone who depends on others or who lives in constant worry about bills to pay. We want to enjoy life, right? Moreover, having a solid financial plan helps me make more conscious decisions. When I know I have an emergency fund, for example, I feel less pressure when dealing with unexpected situations. This allows me to take a deep breath and think of solutions instead of panicking. And let's be honest, What we really want in life is to handle challenges calmly. Financial planning gives us that power. I can't forget to mention the importance of regularly reviewing this plan. What worked 5 years ago might not make sense today. Life changes, priorities shift, and we must be willing to adjust our strategies. I've learned that being flexible is essential. Sometimes we need to cut expenses or redirect investments. The important thing is to stay vigilant and do what it takes to ensure we're moving in the right direction. In the end, financial planning isn't just about numbers, it's a lifestyle choice. It allows us to dream and make those dreams come true. Whether I want to travel, buy a house, or secure a comfortable retirement, all of this requires careful planning. And when I see these goals becoming a reality, the satisfaction is unmatched. After all, life is too short not to be proactive about our financial future. Social connections and combating isolation. When I look at my life, I realize that social connections are one of the pillars that support my well-being. Never underestimate the power of a good friend or an engaging conversation. In today's fast-paced world, we sometimes forget to nurture those meaningful relationships. I've gone through periods where I was so focused on work and responsibilities that I neglected the people who really matter. The result? A feeling of loneliness that, let's be honest, no one wants to face. One thing I've learned over time is that our mental health is directly linked to these connections. When we maintain healthy relationships, we feel happier and less anxious. This isn't limited to friendships. Family also plays a crucial role. I remember a time when I spent an afternoon with my mom, just chatting and laughing. That simple interaction made a huge difference in my day. It's amazing how a little care and attention can shift our perspective. Participating in social activities is another way to combat isolation. I've always sought to get involved in groups or clubs that share similar interests. Whether it's a book club, a sports team, or even a volunteer group, these experiences not only help us meet new people, but also make us feel part of something bigger. Human connection is essential, and I truly believe that we should all strive to stay socially active. Of course, it can sometimes be challenging to step out of our comfort zones and open ourselves up to new friendships. But I've learned that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. When we allow ourselves to be authentic and show who we really are, we attract people who connect with us on a deeper level. That's what really makes a difference. And remember, the quality of relationships is far more important than the quantity. A true friend is worth more than 1,000 acquaintances. In the end, cultivating these social connections isn't just about avoiding isolation. It's about enriching our lives. Sharing experiences, laughter, and even challenges with others makes the journey much more meaningful. As we grow older, these relationships become even more valuable. So, don't hesitate to reach out, make new friends, and cherish those who already hold a special place in your heart. Balance in sexual life. When it comes to sexual life, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that everything must be intense and excessive. However, throughout my journey, I've realized that true balance is what brings real satisfaction. Masturbation, for instance, is a normal part of sexuality, but it's crucial to reflect on the motivations behind it. What drives me to seek this pleasure? Sometimes it may be a genuine desire. Other times it could be a way to escape uncomfortable feelings. Understanding this is essential for finding a healthy balance. I've always believed that sexuality should be a source of pleasure, but also of self-discovery. The quest to understand one's own body and needs is part of this process. Instead of viewing masturbation as a taboo, I've learned to see it as an opportunity to explore what really makes me feel good. This not only enhances my sexual life, but also contributes to a more robust emotional well-being. And let's face it, sexuality is an important part of anyone's life. Moreover, the balance in sexual life isn't limited to masturbation. It also involves how we relate to others. Building emotional intimacy with a partner is fundamental. When we connect on a deeper level, the sexual experience becomes richer and more fulfilling. I notice that when I'm in a healthy relationship, sexuality flows naturally, and that's something we should cherish. There are still challenges that may arise along the way. External pressures from friends, society, or even the media can distort our perception of what a normal sexual life looks like. I've learned to filter these influences and seek what truly makes me happy. The important thing is that each of us defines what a healthy sexuality means for ourselves, respecting our limits and desires. Ultimately, finding this balance is an ongoing process of learning and adaptation. There is no definitive manual that works for everyone. Each person has their own journey, and what matters is pursuing what feels right. When we can align our desires with our actions, sexual life becomes a source of joy and fulfillment, which reflects in all aspects of our lives. Acceptance of change. Sometimes I find myself reflecting on how life is a grand stage of changes, isn't it? From childhood to old age, we are constantly undergoing transformations that we often cannot control. When I was younger, I used to have a more rigid view of things. I believed that everything should stay the way I knew it. But as the years went by, I realized that resisting change only brought frustration and suffering. Learning to accept that life is made up of ups and downs became one of the most valuable lessons I've ever received. I remember a time in my life when everything seemed to crumble. Important relationships fell apart, I lost the job I loved, and the feeling of insecurity was constant. However, it was in that moment of crisis that I discovered that if I allowed myself to flow with the changes, I could find unexpected opportunities. This acceptance doesn't mean that I didn't feel pain or sadness, but rather that I learned to look beyond the immediate. Transformation can reveal a new me, stronger and more adaptable. Understanding that changes are inevitable has helped me develop a more flexible mindset. When something doesn't go as planned, instead of panicking, I take a deep breath and ask myself, what can I learn from this? This practice has become a mantra in my life. By approaching each change as a chance for growth, I can turn challenges into opportunities for learning. It's not easy, but it has been liberating. Moreover, acceptance of change isn't limited to external situations. It's also about accepting the changes within myself. As I age, I realize that my desires, interests, and even values shift. And that's okay. I'm not the same person I was 5 or 10 years ago, and that's something to be celebrated, not feared. Recognizing and embracing these internal transformations has made me feel more authentic and connected to who I truly am. Ultimately, acceptance of change has taught me to live with more ease. Instead of fighting against the current of life, I've learned to swim with it. Now, when I look to the future, I don't see a predetermined path, but a sea of possibilities. Each new wave that comes brings the chance for something new, and for me, that's an invitation to explore and discover. After all, life is a journey, and every stop shapes us in ways we may not always understand right away. Living with purpose and without regrets. Another aspect I've been actively seeking in my life is to live with purpose. Sometimes I ask myself, what really matters to me? This reflection has led me to reconsider my priorities and align my actions with my deepest values. When I'm aware of what I truly want and what makes me happy, I feel that each moment becomes more meaningful. I'm no longer just going through the motions. I'm living each day with intention. Living with purpose has also helped me shed external pressures. Society often pushes us to follow paths that don't resonate with us. For a long time, I let myself be swayed by these norms, thinking I needed to meet certain expectations to be happy. But the truth is that happiness comes from within. Once I started making decisions based on what I genuinely desired, the feeling of regret began to fade. Now every choice I make reflects what I value, bringing a sense of inner peace I hadn't known before. One of my greatest lessons has been that living without regrets doesn't mean I haven't made mistakes. We all err, and that's part of our growth. What matters is how we handle those mistakes. Instead of dwelling on the past, I view them as valuable lessons that have shaped my present. Whenever I feel regret creeping in, I ask myself, what can I learn from this? This shift in perspective allows me to move forward, wiser and more aware. Moreover, living with purpose encourages me to seize every opportunity life presents. Sometimes we get so caught up in our routines that we forget to look around and appreciate the small things that bring us joy. Now, I strive to be present in each moment, whether it's sharing a laugh with a friend or enjoying a beautiful landscape. This awareness makes me feel that I'm truly living, not just existing. Ultimately, I believe that living with purpose and without regrets is an ongoing commitment. Each day, I make a conscious choice to align my actions with my values and seek experiences that make me feel fulfilled. This doesn't mean life will always be easy or free of challenges, but the feeling of being in control of my own destiny is incredibly empowering. And so I move forward with an open heart and a mind focused on what truly matters. Now that we've explored these 7 valuable pieces of advice, I want you to reflect on your own journey. What lessons have you learned along the way? Is there any advice you would like to share with those who are also seeking to live with more purpose and dignity? Life is a continuous exchange of experiences, and each of us has a unique story that deserves to be heard. So, don't hesitate to leave your comment below. Let's open a dialogue because wisdom multiplies when shared. And remember, transformation doesn't happen overnight. Every step we take in the right direction, no matter how small, is an achievement. Are you ready to apply this advice in your life? If you enjoyed this content and want more tips on how to live fully, don't forget to turn on notifications to stay updated on everything we're preparing for you. After all, each new video brings the opportunity for new learning. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery and growth together. What are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and become part of this community. Your new chapter starts now.